Hi there, this is Josh from Literary Gladiators, and today I'm here with a book review. The book that I'm going to be reviewing is How to Stand Up to a Dictator by Maria Ressa. I do not have the physical copy of the book on me because I returned it to the library. You will, however, be able to find the picture in the thumbnail of this video, because I did take a picture before I returned the book. And I did take a few notes in order to refer to when conducting this review. How to Stand Up to a Dictator came to my attention as it was longlisted for the BookTube Prize. It is one of the octafinal finalists in the nonfiction category. I am not taking part in the BookTube Prize, but I will follow along, and that book in particular really stood out to me. And then I happened to find it when I was going to the library. I was checking to see if they had some American presidential biographies from my childhood, and because it was a nice and quiet environment, I was catching up on some reading. But I happened to borrow that book, and the reason that really stuck out to me is because Maria Ressa is from my area. She grew up in Toms River, New Jersey. She was born in the Philippines, but she did spend many of her school years in Toms River, probably in the Silverton area, because she went to school at Silver Bay and she went to high school at Toms River North. In addition to being the co-recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize in 2021, she garnered more local achievements, and in May of 2022, she was inducted into the Toms River Regional Schools Hall of Fame. And I was invited to that because Rennie, who is a contributor for this channel, invited me along with other people, her family, friends, and others, because she was giving a presentation that honored Ocean County College. And they honored quite a few people, and Maria Ressa was the big name. And I had the honor to talk with her on my way out. It was beginning to empty, and I went up to her and thanked her for her contributions to our freedoms, in particular our freedom to speak our mind and to use the press to convey truthful information without being penalized or brought down. And it was Miss Ressa's courage, her bravery, her perseverance to continue to stand up for what she believed in, even though she was being charged with several charges involving cyber libel during the Duterte administration in the Philippines. But being an American, I really cherish and embrace my constitutional rights, but especially my First Amendment rights that provide me the freedom for speech, the press, the right to practice the religion that I wish and how I choose to practice it, and the right to petition. But I didn't ask for an autograph or anything, but I just really appreciated the minute or two of her time. We were having a brief but very kind conversation, and she's a very, very remarkable woman. And it was just an honor to be able to speak with her. But as far as How to Stand Up to a Dictator is concerned, she writes it in the... It's a memoir, and she writes chronologically, but as she talks about the events that took place in her life, she ties in different lessons and advice and uh, pretty much incorporates her values and beliefs as to, during this period of time, this is what inspired me to think this way. She approached it in that manner. For instance, she makes mention to the fact that she was influenced by the structure when she was going to school that involved, as per page 26, what was called route learning and memorization. You followed the rules and you spoke when you were spoken to. And I see a lot of that in the American public school education system as well, or any education system that relies on obedience rather than thinking for yourself. And I incredibly disagree with the idea of obedience and pretty much memorization to the point that you're more of a machine than you are a thinking individual. And the ability to get the information and think it over for yourself is what's more important. And I think that she conveys that very well, and that's something we agree on. She also talks about going to Princeton University and how she really took the honor code to heart. And to an extent, I agree with what she has to say, but I disagree as far as having to be responsible for other people's actions as well, in an openly active kind of way. On one hand, you should definitely call out action that is dangerous and threatening, and if someone asks, then it is your obligation to tell the particular figure the truth, but to be encouraged and go ahead and tattle on them, that I have a bit of question about. That's a personal value to some, but that's somewhere that I would speak and not necessarily agree with. One thing that really stuck out was when she called out a classmate during a playwriting class. The classmate would be more than happy to critique other people's work with brutally honest and sharp criticism, but yet she didn't offer any of her plays for others to critique. And Maria Ressa called her out on that. And it just so happened that even though that person confronted her on it, things ended up on good terms between the two of them. As per page 30, she makes mention to the fact that staying silent or compliant changed nothing. Speaking up was an act of creation. And that one I agree with 110%. I think that if you really do not like what's going on, and you feel that something needs to change, you have to make it known that you feel that it needs to change, and do your very best to actively contribute to that change. She talks about becoming a journalist in the Philippines, and then ultimately putting together the news website known as Rappler, which was a combination of rap music and rippling of waves. And throughout her tenure, she utilized honest news sources and then really delved into the impact that the internet had on the way that people thought. There were some charts in there that were a little bit complicated, but I could see where they're going and what they were trying to convey. But ultimately, as far as the backdrop of this memoir was concerned, I thought that it is spot on and very inspiring as far as being able to develop one's independent thought is concerned. And I think that Maria Ressa has demonstrated that she is a champion for those that want to stand up for what they believe in and have the platform to be able to do so and speak out against what they feel is wrong in society. The concern that I had with this memoir is that I don't feel that I felt that it was limited. I think that there were boundaries that she really could have pushed on, because she was really delving into Facebook, where they did get into trouble because they were manipulating their feed and the feed of anybody that has an account, so that divisive posts and news would get more attention, because it would manipulate people into having stronger feelings as far as political issues is concerned. I thought that they could have delved into that even deeper, because there is an even darker underbelly. And I think that that can be applied to so much. And I think that as far as established governments are concerned, I think that there is an even darker underbelly that involved the manipulation and the divisive tactics are concerned. And that really wasn't explored. But whether or not it was on Maria Ressa or on HarperCollins, who published the book, is one that I'm not entirely sure about. The book it covers quite some ground, because the epilogue pertains to her mentioning being inducted into the Toms River Regional Schools Hall of Fame, and she was also honored with her own. They named an auditorium for her at her high school, and it was very interesting that she pointed out that high school North and South can fight as far as sports are concerned, and still not take it personally, but politics and political discussion can lead to a gladiator fight to the death. And she's very much right about that, especially in this day and age where politics has become so divisive. People, up until the last few years, you could be politically different but still get along with each other. But it almost feels like there is this divisiveness and this manipulation and certain things that are taking place that is creating this sense that you cannot tolerate the other person because they think differently than you. And that's something that could have been explored a bit deeper, and I think with a little bit more objectivity. But I think that based off of the backdrop that Maria Ressa has to offer, I think that it gives us enough tools to be able to think for ourselves and to be able to point out that something is not right, and be able to do our own research on top of that, with high hope that we can get as many objective sources as possible, which is very tough in this day and age. But compare notes, see which ones are the most objective, and you can also hear both sides of the argument, as long as it is legitimate enough. If you're thinking about something that is radically outrageous, then you might have to have second thoughts, be it on the left or on the right. A lot of it comes down to common sense. And I think that this book does a fine job giving you the tools to allow you to go forth as far as thought is concerned. I give this book 4 stars out of 5. I think that it's a book that is definitely worth reading. I think that learning about Maria Ressa's experiences is quite captivating. And I hope that Maria Ressa does even more extraordinary things in order to expand one's rights and access to their freedom to the correct and clear sources as far as being able to gather your information is concerned. I want to thank you for tuning into this video. I hope you check out some more videos from our channel. If you like what you see, I encourage you to subscribe, because we have a lot of videos that are in store, and of all different kinds as far as books, reading, and literature is concerned. And if you really like what you see, please support us on our Patreon, because the money that we make will allow us to provide you, the viewer, with even more great content. And as we reach each of our milestones, we'll have even more patron-exclusive content for you that we want to offer. Thank you, and for now, and as always, I encourage you to keep reading.